Tonight, your paycheck lands in your account. For about 4 seconds, you feel rich. Then rent pulls out. Then your card bill pulls out. Then the number just quietly disappears, like it was never really yours to begin with. But the real answer to why this keeps happening is far stranger than bad luck or bad discipline. It has almost nothing to do with how much you earn. It has everything to do with the order you touch your money in. Most people get paid, spend what they need, spend what they want, and save whatever is left over, if anything is left over. That single habit, done for 40 years, is the difference between retiring comfortable and retiring afraid. Not the salary, not the job title, the order of operations. Here's the strange part. The wealthiest investor in modern history never treated saving as what was left over. Warren Buffett bought his first stock at 11 years old, and by the time he was in his 20s, he was already living on a fraction of what he earned, funneling the rest into assets before he let himself spend on anything else. He didn't wait to feel rich enough to invest. He invested first and let what remained become his life. Why does that order matter so much? Because your brain is not built to protect future money. It's built to protect right now comfort. Behavioral economists Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi studied this directly. They found that when employees were asked to commit today to raising their savings rate, starting with a future raise, participation nearly quadrupled compared to asking people to cut their current paycheck. The program was called Save More Tomorrow. It worked not because people got smarter. It worked because it removed the moment of pain. You never miss money, you never touch. That's the real trick hiding behind almost every wealthy household you've ever heard about. They pay themselves first, automatically, before the money has a chance to feel spendable. Everyone else pays themselves last, if there's anything left to pay. Think about your own paycheck for a second. What happens in the first hour after it lands? If the honest answer is nothing, if it just sits there waiting to be spent piece by piece, you're not undisciplined. You're just playing a game with no rules, against a brain that was never designed to win it. Let's go back further, because this idea is older than any modern investing guru. In ancient Babylon, merchants recorded one of the earliest known personal finance principles onto clay tablets. The instruction was blunt. A part of all you earn is yours to keep, not what's left, not what you can spare. A fixed part, set aside the moment it arrives, before food, before rent, before anything else touches it. That idea is thousands of years old, and it still outperforms almost every modern budgeting app. So, what does paying yourself first actually look like in practice, in a world of direct deposits and one-tap spending? It looks like automation removing you from the decision entirely. The moment your paycheck arrives, a fixed percentage moves out before you ever see the full number. Not after bills, not after groceries. First, it moves into a retirement account, an index fund, a high-yield savings account, anywhere except your checking account, where it's psychologically already spent the second you glance at the balance. This is where a quiet legend named Ronald Read becomes relevant. Read was a gas station attendant and janitor in Vermont. He never earned a high salary in his life. But he consistently set aside a portion of every paycheck into blue-chip stocks, decade after decade, reinvesting dividends without fail, never touching the principal. When he died at 92, he left behind $8 million. Almost nobody who knew him had any idea. He wasn't secretly brilliant at picking stocks. He was just early, consistent, and boring. 3 qualities the stock market rewards more than genius. Compare that to the modern default. You get paid. You feel a small hit of relief. That relief triggers spending, because your brain treats a fresh deposit as permission. Marketers know this. That's why payday sales, payday food delivery discounts, and payday shopping notifications exist. They are timed to catch you exactly when your guard is lowest, right after the number in your account goes up. So, here is the actual mechanic behind this advice, stripped of the motivational language. The moment you get paid, before you check your phone, before you open any spending app, move a fixed percentage of that paycheck somewhere you can't casually touch it. 10% if that's realistic. 15% if you can stretch. Even 5%, done automatically and consistently, compounding for 30 years, will outperform almost any amount of good intentions applied inconsistently. Then, and only then, do you look at what remains and build your life around that number. Why does this simple reordering change everything? Because it turns saving from a decision you make under pressure into a decision you never have to make at all. You stop negotiating with your future self every single payday. The negotiation happens once, when you set the automation up, and never again. There's a second layer to this that most people miss entirely, and it's the reason two people earning identical salaries can end up in completely different financial lives. It isn't just that one saves and one doesn't. It's what the saved money is actually doing while it sits there. Cash sitting untouched in a checking account is losing value every single year to inflation, quietly, invisibly. Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, spent his entire career pushing a deceptively simple idea. Ordinary people don't need to beat the market. They just need to own a piece of the entire market cheaply and leave it alone for decades. Low-cost index funds exist because of that one insight, and they've quietly built more retirement wealth for average earners than almost any other financial invention in the last 50 years. So paying yourself first isn't really about willpower at all. It's about routing money towards something that grows before your own psychology gets a vote. Let's put numbers on this, because vague advice is easy to nod along to and forget by tomorrow. Imagine two people, same age, same salary. One starts paying themselves first at 25, setting aside $200 a month into a low-cost index fund. The other waits, tells themselves they'll start once they earn more, and begins at 35 with the same $200. At a historical average return, the early starter ends up with roughly double the retirement balance, even contributing for the same number of years overall. The gap isn't effort, it's time. Compounding doesn't care about your excuses. Banks understand this better than almost anyone and quietly use it against you. Minimum payments are calculated so a balance lingers for years while interest compounds against you instead of for you. A $5,000 balance at a typical high rate, paid at the minimum, can take over a decade to clear and cost more than the purchase itself. Compounding is neutral. It builds your future, or drains it, depending which side you're standing on. So paying yourself first has a hidden twin rule. Before you can build wealth, you have to stop feeding the compounding working against you. High-interest debt gets treated as an emergency, not background noise. You can't out-invest a 20% rate. Nobody can. The first free dollars go towards silencing that, not into a fund yet. Once that's handled, the rest of the system runs almost on autopilot. A fixed percentage leaves before you see it. What's left builds your actual life. And the debt that used to compound against you stops existing entirely. Now here's the counterintuitive twist, the part that reframes everything you just heard. You'd assume this advice mainly helps low earners struggling to make ends meet. It doesn't. High earners fall into an even more dangerous version of this trap, because their spending simply grows to match every raise they get. It's called lifestyle creep, and it's silent. You get promoted. Your income doubles over a decade. But somehow your bank balance barely moves because your rent got nicer, your car got newer, and your subscriptions multiplied right alongside your paycheck. Meanwhile, someone earning half of what you make, who pays themselves first automatically, quietly outpaces you by retirement without ever feeling like they were sacrificing anything. That's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Wealth was never really about how much crosses your account. It was always about how much of it you touch before it grows. So think about your very next paycheck, the one landing in a few days or a few weeks. What would it look like to pay yourself first before a single dollar goes anywhere else? Not someday, not once you earn more. Now, with whatever percentage feels almost too small to matter, because in 30 years, small and automatic beats large and occasional every single time. Tonight, your paycheck will land in your account again. This time, you know something most people never learn. The 4 seconds of feeling rich were never the point. What you do in the moment right after is the only part of this that was ever going to matter.